When I was a kid, I played with Marvel superhero toys. Now that I'm an adult, they make toys for me too. It's called Marvel Crisis Protocol. Today, I'm going to give you a little tour of our terrain collection. So we've been playing Marvel Crisis Protocol for a little while now. This is a 1v1 skirmish game where you play as a variety of superheroes and supervillains from the Marvel Universe. It is a game that requires a lot of terrain as you play on some kind of board, and your models can pick up, throw terrain, push characters into terrain, destroy terrain, stuff like that. So it's important that you have a variety of stuff that your characters can maneuver around and use against your enemies. The box does come with some stuff, but over the years since we've played, we've also acquired a lot of our own terrain as well. So I'm going to take you through a little bit of that today. So a couple of things that came with the core set. First thing being these little lamp posts, which Sean delicately painted up. Those are nice little ditties you can throw around wherever, as well as these little light posts. These just come with the core set. And I know the new core set, I believe, comes with these as well, but really useful. Unfortunately, we do not have any intersections, so these are not going to be of use today. Another thing that came with the core set are these dumpsters. The cool thing about these as well is that they have, we painted on little bits of graffiti that have rather unsavory slang terms on them, if you will. These types of small bits of terrain are really useful in Marvel Crisis Protocol to kind of fill out your map a little bit, which is why one of the earlier things I 3D printed were these little barricades, because these make sense to have in cities, right? I don't know. Especially if you have police cars and stuff like that. These are really easy, simple little prints. They're hollow, so they don't take a lot of filament. And then recently, one of the things I also printed was these shipping containers. And we created a little area on this side of the board that's like some kind of construction area or something. You could do a whole like construction type board instead of a city board, but I love these because they all have little different logos from within the Marvel Universe. So we've got Oscorp, we've got PIM Industries, Stark Industries, and AIM. A more nefarious one there, but these are great just to toss wherever you have some kind of blank spot on your board to fill it up with a little bit and make it look a little bit cooler. As far as other small stuff goes, we also have a few different cars. The core set comes with some cars that you can assemble and paint yourself. However, neither Sean nor myself really wanted to paint a car. We are not really automotive people. So we went to Walgreens and bought a couple of cars that are already complete. So we've got a nice little red car, a black car. I don't know anything about cars, so like I couldn't even tell you nothing about these, but they look like cars to me. We also got a couple of police cars. These ones, we've had these ones for a while. These get used a lot. And you can even have models go on top of them.
Is that legal?
It's legal as long as his base does not go over the edge. But, you know, if he's hanging off a little bit, you know, just rule of cool it as long as you're not in some kind of tournament or something, which we don't play. So these cars, when you get them we got them at Walgreens. They're those ones that you can like roll back and they go off. We just taped them. Taped the wheels on all the cars. Because you don't want them rolling around when you're playing the game. Because their positioning does matter on the map. Because these are going to get thrown around, and if they're too far away because they rolled away, that's going to be pretty fricked. So that's all of the small bits of terrain we have. Let's get to some of the big cojones. One of the things you probably noticed immediately on the board were these buildings. These are from, I believe it's Corvus Terrain or Corvus Games. It's a website where you can buy a bunch of different terrain for Marvel Crisis or like city games or any type of game really, but these are really great for Marvel Crisis. And these are 3D printed. It's a pretty easy 3D printing project. I mean, it's no supports. They're hollow on the inside. You can see just raw filament with a little bit of spray paint in there. They took us a really long time to paint because like buildings aren't really as fun to paint as, you know, awesome superhero models. But, you know, we added a bunch of detailing on them. They have different printed out flyers and stuff on them. Various little bits and bobs and details and stuff. These, since I printed them, I mean, they get used on every board that we have. So definitely worth it. And, I mean, they don't really charge that much for these, like the files. Added the Mary Jane, little reference to a couple, to Infamous, if anyone's ever played that, really good game, and Masks, which is an RPG. We actually have a video on our channel about, you can watch if you want. And then I painted a little Stan Lee tribute on one side of the building. This is something I saw someone else do, and I was inspired by. One of the nice things about games like Marvel Crisis Protocol is the community comes up with a lot of cool ideas and stuff, and you know, you can easily take inspiration from different people you see online, just steal stuff that other people do. And then here's our last building. This is a small little ditty. These buildings are really fun if you put like objectives on top of them.
Joe's Pizza.
Oh yeah, Joe's Pizza from
Did you print that
Spider-Man 2. Yeah, I printed it.
That's cool.
Everything here is printed. That's Civil War. Feast ad. I think that's an Ant-Man thing. Wanted poster for, I think Wolverine. I think a Wolverine wanted poster. Yeah, these were real massive pain in the butt to paint, but I do think it was worth it once we finally got them done. And I think like if you have an airbrush, like you'll actually enjoy painting these. For us, it was a bit of a pain. So those are the buildings. The other big kahuna we have that is a recent addition to the Marvel Crisis collection is my train set, also from Corvus, the STLs from Corvus as well. Gotta have Doc Ock on there from the iconic scene. So this was a pretty big undertaking. It definitely took up a few hours on the 3D printer. And it is also the piece that requires the most construction. Everything else just you plop on the board. The train set actually has to be assembled in a variety of pieces. It has these clips in it. I think it's called open lock, and they kind of clip in together. The little trains on top, they just sit on there. You're supposed to clip them on the back as well so they can clip together. I didn't really want to do that so that like maybe a character can grab half of a train and throw it at another character or something like that. So what I did is I just glued a piece of foam on the other side so that it can sit level without being supported by another piece of train. And that worked out pretty well, I thought. I am pretty happy with how this turned out. I was just telling Sean this is a pretty big board hog, if you will. We haven't played with this yet, so I'm not entirely sure how it will work when it comes to actual gameplay, because it is definitely a bit of a challenge, because there is a bottom area, but then there's also a top area. So you have down here, and then you have up here. So it's going to be kind of difficult if you're having models move below the train set, like how you're going to measure that out. I think what we might end up doing is just making this bottom area like no man's land. You're not allowed to go down there, or at least too far down into it. And then maybe make it so that like going on top maybe doesn't require a climb action. Anyone could move up there or something like that. So it's a little more fair, like if you're doing a team that doesn't have any flyers or wall crawlers or anything like that, so that you can actually get up there. All right, the last thing I wanted to talk about was my board. So this is my Marvel Crisis board. This is made out of XPS foam, primarily, and then the sidewalks are just regular foam core. I took most of this process from Blue Line Gaming here on YouTube. I don't think he makes videos anymore, but he did a little series where he made boards very similar to these. I switched mine up a little bit, used some different techniques, but it's fairly similar to how he did his. One of the biggest areas where I went different was mine are double-sided. So I have one side with a road on it, and one side with just a blank gray concrete board, so that these can be interchanged and moved around for different various setups. So we have a couple T intersections like that, so you can pretty quickly create a board that looks something like know, something like that pretty quickly just by flipping boards and turning them over, and now we have a completely different setup from what we had before. Or I also have a intersection piece, so I can pretty quickly, once again, make a completely different board setup just like that.
That's pretty sick.
And boom, we're ready to set up some terrain on this. This is a project that I am really proud of how it turned out. It was not too difficult to make, just required a lot of very clean and precise cuts in order to get the right measurements on each board, and so that they line up perfectly. And they still don't line up like completely perfect. And I didn't do magnets or anything because once you have terrain on top of these boards, it kind of weighs them down. I don't think you really need magnets, and it's just easier not to do them. So it was a fun project. I think it turned out really great. The paint job was really fun. This little mismatched line on the sewer, that was actually Sean's idea, and I thought it turned out pretty funny. So there you have it. That's all of our terrain. As you can see, it doesn't take that much stuff to actually make a cohesive board for Marvel Crisis Protocol. And all of these different projects and paint jobs were a lot of fun. Half of this game is painting and creating stuff for when you actually play it. That's half of the hobby. So yeah, it's really fun, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did like it, go ahead and subscribe. We do a variety of different types of videos of painting, from painting miniatures to actual plays for RPGs. If you want to see other Marvel Crisis videos, let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.